Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel ServiceNow Universe. Hope you all are doing well. Today's topics are client to server communication in Service Portal using c.server.update function and c.server.get function. And we will discuss with an example. We'll have a demo, and with an example we'll discuss what is the difference between c.server.update and c.server.get function. Okay, so let's go and check this page. Okay, so on this page what we are showing is a number of records in the incident table. Okay, total number of records in the incident table, this is 71. So for that we have this widget. Okay, and what we are doing here is we are first taking a table that is incident, okay, in the data dot table, and then we are getting the count of it using glide aggregate. Okay, we have added the aggregate. We are counting all the active incidents here. Okay, all the active records. Then with the aggregate we are getting the total count here. The total count of active incidents are 71. Okay, that's why we are able to see here 71. Okay, now how the flow runs when I load this page. Okay, so when I load this page, the flow runs like this. First the server side script will execute, then whatever we write in the client side, that will execute, and then the data will be displayed on the HTML side. Okay, now if you want it in the reverse order, from will trigger something from HTML like a button click or a on change function, then it will go to client side, and then after that from client side to server side communication we use those two functions, c.server.update and c.server.get. Okay, these two functions will be used from here, from client side to server side execution communication, and from server side we'll get the data back again in those c.server.get and c.server.update functions, and then we'll execute. Okay, okay, now let's add a button here. Okay, so I have added this br here just for a space there. Now let me add one button type is button. Okay, and I'll say here requested items. For example, I want to see the count of requested items. Okay, now from where we are triggering that, from this button. So let me just add it, requested items, and let's see the button on the page. Okay, we have that button here. So let me add a class to it. Class btn btn primary. This is the bootstrap class. Okay, so if I refresh this page, I'll see a nice button here now, this blue color button. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll add a ng click here. Ng click. So what I'll say, c dot get new row count. Okay, and we know this is requested items button. So what I'll do is I'll pass the table name from here. Sc underscore rec underscore item is the table name. Okay, now I'll add this function. Okay, I have to add this function in the client side. So what I'll do is I'll add this function as c dot get row count is equal to function, and then here parameter we are passing, that is table. Okay, and now let me just alert it. Okay, and let's see whether it is working till here or not. Okay, alert table. Okay, now let me refresh this. Let me click on request items. So we are getting the table name here. Okay, now let's go and add a few more tables, sorry, few more buttons here. Okay, so one is requested items, then we'll add problem. Okay, and then let me just change this to problems. Okay, then we'll add change request change request. Okay, and I'll change this to change requests. Okay, and lastly we'll add incident again. So if I want the incident number back again, so on click of button we can access that. Okay, incidents. Now let me just refresh this page. Okay, so what I can do is I can add a div for this div, and just do this, and I'll add a class to this, that is buttons container. Okay, now I'll add some CSS here. Let me go to CSS dot button container. I'll add display flex. Okay, and let me just save this. Okay, now there is no gap between that, so let me add just gap here. Gap is, I'll set 10 pixel, and let me save this now. Okay, so it is nice looking here. Now let me click on request item. We see on client side we got that table name here, problem incidents, so we are getting everything correctly. Okay, now the communication from client side to server side. Okay, here I'll just remove this. Now I'll use c.server.update. Okay, to use c.server.update, we must define some action so that on the server side that action is recognized, that it is coming from that button itself. Okay, that's what we'll do is c.data.action. Okay, is equal to, we'll give some custom action here, get row count, for example. Okay, get row count is the action, and what we'll do is next, the table we need to pass, right, the new table which is coming from that button. So that is c.data.table is equal to, I'll pass this table. Okay, now what we need to do is c.server.update is the function. Okay, okay, now we have added this here, but we have not added anything here on the server side. Okay, let me just save this. Okay, because the table is not changing, here is the table hard coded table is there. So if I refresh this, okay, and if I click on this, uh, this this is refreshing, but it is again taking incident only, because the table hard coded here is the incident table. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to add a line here, that is if input. So if it is coming from client side, then it will be an input object. Okay, if input, okay, and input dot action is equal to. So here whatever is c dot data on client side will change to input on server side. Okay, so here c dot data dot action is there. Now c dot data is replaced with input, and that became input dot action. Okay, now I'll add this action name here. Okay, now in this code, what is dynamic, only table is dynamic, right, everything is so it is just to get the row count. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to just change the table name, data dot table is equal to, and we are passing the table here in this object, that is input dot table. Okay, it is input dot table. Okay, now here we have used that data dot table, the same object, the same variable we are assigning it again. We can take a new variable as well here. Okay, instead of assigning the same variable. So whatever we add here, that is c dot data dot table name, for example, that will be changed to input dot table name. Okay, okay. So now I'll just save this. Okay, and this c.server.update function will update the scope of this data. Okay, so the data scope will be updated, and here what we are doing, we are showing data.count, and here we are showing data.table. So it should show us the new table and the new count here. Okay, now let me just refresh the page. Let's click on this. Yeah, you see the number of now the table name is requested item. Okay, and the number is changed here. Okay, the scope is updated, that's why we got the refreshed data here. Let me click on problems, the data we get here, change request data, and again incidents data. Okay, so this is how we can use c.server.update. We'll come back here again, we have then function, but we'll just see how c.server.get works. Okay, now let me just comment this. Okay, Now for c.server.get, expects an object here. So let me just create object that is inputs. Okay, now what we need to pass in that, we need to pass the action. Okay, the action is this. Okay, and it expects this table name. Okay, table name is the table. Okay, now whatever we add here, action, that gets changed to input.action on server side. Okay, now what we have to do is c.server.get, and to the get function we need to pass this input section. Okay, inputs. Now let me just save this. Okay, it is saved. Now let me refresh. Okay, now let me click on a request. Nothing is happening. We are not able to see the changes here on the screen. Okay, but now let me just go here and add a console here in this console.log uh, in if function. Okay, and I'll print the table as well. Okay, plus input dot table name. Okay, so let's see whether we are getting that console there or not, whether this get function is getting triggered or not. Okay, so I'll open the console. Okay, let me just remove this. Okay, now let me refresh the page again. Okay, now let me just click on this button. Okay, get row count is not defined. Okay, did we do anything? Oh, we need to pass this in quotes. Okay, let me save this. Okay, and now let me refresh this again. Okay, now I'll click on request item. Okay, you see that on the server side we have added the console, right, in if function, and the table name. So that is coming here. When I click on problem is coming. Change request, the change request table name is coming here. So the communication is happening from client to server, but the data is not getting reflected on server side, sorry, HTML side. So it's because we are using the get function. If you use the update function, then it will update the data scope. Okay, the scope of the data, the scope or data object is updated, and that updated object will be added here. Okay, now if you want to use the get function, but I want to reflect the data on the HTML side, then what we need to do is we need to add a then function. So what we are saying, after the communication happens on server side, okay, then after that what we need to do. Okay, now I'll say then. Okay, then is a function. Okay, under that we need to add one more function, then a response, and like this is the syntax. Okay, now let me just alert here. Alert, what I'll alert, response. So what happens is now from client to server side, this action changed to input.action. Now this data.count we are assigning, right? Okay, the code comes here. Okay, it just changes the data.table, and then this code gets executed, and data.count will be updated. Okay, but that is not reflected here because we are not using the update function, we are using the get function. Now here let me just this data will change to response.data, response.data dot count. Now let me just okay, and let me add the table as well. Okay, response.data.table. Okay, okay, so let me just save this, and let me refresh this. Okay, the communication happening to now the communication is happening from c.server.get function to server side. Now from server side, whatever is set, this data.count and data.table is set, then we are using in the then function. When the task of that get function is completed, then execute this function. Okay, now when I click on this, okay, you see I got the output here. The requested item, we have 131 counts. Okay, uh, then if I click on problem, then we see there are 16 counts. Okay, now if I want to reflect the data on this HTML side, then what I have to do is let me just add here c dot what we are using here, data dot table. Okay, on servers on client side, uh, that will be changed to c dot data dot table, because c is the scope of this client side. Okay, so what I'll do is c dot data dot table, we are using it here, so we want to change that, right? On click of button, so what I'll do is that will be changed to what, response dot data dot table. Okay, now c dot, that is data dot count is used here. Now what I'll do is c dot data dot count is changed to what, the new row count. Okay, after the execution of get function, we got that in response object. Okay, and that response object we are setting it to the variables which are used in HTML side. Okay, now I'll just save this. Okay, let me refresh this now. Let me close the console. Okay, now when I click here, you see the changes are reflected on the HTML side. Okay, so when we use the get function, the data object will not be updated. Okay, it will just go and do the task in the server side. But if you want to use that data object, then we need to write this then function, and from the response object we need to fetch the changed data and we need to assign it back here. Okay, in this way we can use the get function to make the data reflected on HTML side. Okay, now if you want, we can use this then function on the let me just comment it and uncomment this. Okay, now the data will be updated automatically using c.server.update, but then also we can use here then function. Okay, let me add this function and response, and I'll do like this. Okay, now here what we can do is, okay, the data, we can add some alert message here. Okay, because the data is however already getting changed here. Okay, we don't need to do anything. What I'll say is data is updated. Okay, so if you want to use then function, then we can use it here for update as well. Okay, so now let me just refresh. Okay, so I'll click on this. Okay, data is updated, that then function is working, then it is getting reflected automatically. We don't need to write these lines for update function. Okay, so we can use then function here as well. Okay, so this is the difference between then and update and get function. Okay, now there is one more thing. If I write this line, okay, for example, these lines, if I write below this code, okay, now what will happen? For both get and update function, this is uh, related. Okay, now if I refresh, now I'm clicking on this, the data is not getting changed, only the table is changed. Okay, but this count is not changing. Okay, it's because the count function, the count we are getting it above the input action we have we called, right? So the data dot table, the new table is getting set here, but the code for the count is written above that. Okay, when the input this c.server.update is called, the data starts running from here, the execution starts running from here, then this gets the count. Okay, now here the new count is there, but for what? For incident table itself. Okay, it has not got the updated count for the new table, it has got it for the incident table itself. That's why we are not able to see the changes. That's why we should add this line above our code, whatever logic we are writing, so above that we should have that code. Okay, now let me refresh this, and if I click now, the data is changing again. Okay, so this is the difference between c.server.update and c.server.get function, and we must know this as a service portal developer. This is the basics of service portal. Okay, I hope you like this video. If you like this video, then please hit the thumb icon, add your valuable suggestions in the comment section, and please subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Thank you.